Have you ever heard of the powerful Buddhist concept of turning poison into medicine? And did you know that Buddhists have used this concept to heal both the spirit and the body for centuries? In this video, through a Zen story, we will discover the power of self-healing that is hidden behind this ancient teaching. So stay until the end, because what you learn will be essential for your spiritual growth and emotional well-being. But before continuing, if you are not yet among us, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and share the video. In this way, you will help us produce new content every day for your spiritual growth. In a remote land among the majestic Japanese mountains, where the green of the forests mixes with the blue of the sky, was the monastery of Hiro. Hiro, a wise monk with a gray beard and bright eyes that spoke of wisdom, guided his devout disciples toward a deep understanding of Buddhist practice. One day, the master gathered his disciples to talk about a fundamental topic. I want to share with you one of the most precious teachings in the ancient Buddhist writings. Hiro began in a calm and penetrating voice. The concept of turning poison into medicine, known as Hendoku Iyaku, has been at the center of our practice for centuries, he said. As you know, in life we face difficult, painful, and adverse situations. Well, Buddhism teaches us that these challenges can be transformed into opportunities for growth and enlightenment. One of the young disciples, Yuki, raised his hand. Master, what exactly do you mean by turning poison into medicine? Hiro smiled, appreciating his disciples' curiosity. The concept is very old and dates back to the most precious Buddhist texts that exist. Let's imagine poison as a symbol of the difficulties and suffering we encounter. Transforming poison into medicine means taking these adversities and, through practice and awareness, transforming them into sources of healing and growth for the spirit and the body. Another disciple may ask, can you give us a concrete example of this transformation? Hiro thought for a moment and then began to tell a story. There was a woman in town who had lost everything due to a terrible illness: her health, her family, her joy. At first, she felt overwhelmed by pain, but one day she decided to transform her suffering into compassion. So, he began to help other sick people, offering them comfort and support. And soon, her life became a beacon of hope for everyone and herself. The disciples' eyes shone with understanding as Hiro continued. The key is how we react to life's inevitable suffering and adversity. There will never be a shortage of negative and painful experiences, but we must be able to turn them into opportunities for personal growth. Remember that when we face pain with courage and compassion, we are transforming the poison of suffering into healing medicine for ourselves and others. In the weeks following this first meeting, Hiro guided his disciples through concrete meditations and practices that helped them understand the power of this transformation. One day, one of the older disciples, Takeshi, approached Hiro with his eyes shining with joy and excitement. Master Hiro, thanks to your teachings I understood. The recent loss of my wife, the person I loved more than anyone, is an opportunity to grow and develop compassion. Now I know that I can transform this pain into a positive force, helping those who suffer like me. Hiro smiled, touching Takeshi's shoulder. You are on the right path, my dear. Life is a constant flow of change, and learning to turn poison into medicine is the secret to finding inner peace and wisdom. One day, while Hiro and his disciples were still busy understanding the most precious implications of this concept, a wounded traveler arrived at the monastery. The man carried with him the visible scars of a difficult life and a physical illness that had sapped his strength and joy in life. Hiro, with his usual welcoming smile, approached the guest. Welcome, dear. We are honored by your presence. How can we help you? Hiro asked. The man bowed respectfully and told his story. He had suffered for years from an illness that had sapped his strength and his joy in life. "I have heard of the power of turning poison into medicine. Can I learn from you?" he asked with hopeful eyes. Hiro nodded and invited him to join the circle of disciples. "Illness is one of the most difficult challenges we can face," the master began. "But even in the face of physical illness, there is potential for healing and transformation." Hiro told them about another monastery located hundreds of kilometers from where they were currently, where an elderly monk had experienced the transformation of physical pain into wisdom and compassion. This monk, named Kaito, had been affected by a debilitating illness that could have caused his death, Hiro said. But instead of giving in to despair, Kaito decided to transform his suffering into a path to healing. He began to meditate every day on the ephemeral nature of the body and the connection between mind and matter, Hiro explained. And little by little he discovered that through meditation and a deep understanding of his illness, he could change his perception of pain. The traveler, listening attentively, began to glimpse the possibility of healing within himself and asked, "Master, how can I begin this path of transformation?" "Start by learning the art of awareness," Hiro replied. "Embrace pain without resistance, without judgment. Like rain falling on parched earth, let your awareness penetrate every part of your being. See illness not as an enemy that must be defeated at all costs, but as a teacher who shows you the fragility of life and the importance of each moment." As the days passed, the traveler followed Hiro's teachings and began practicing meditation and mindfulness. Thus, his attitude towards the illness began to change. Anger transformed into compassion, sadness into acceptance. One day, while meditating under an oak tree, the traveler had an epiphany. He understood that the pain caused by his illness, instead of imprisoning him, had freed him from hard and dangerous work. At that moment, he felt a wave of energy pass through his body, bringing a feeling of peace and inner strength, and he understood that, due to this illness, he had been lucky enough to change jobs. Hiro, seeing that transformation, smiled satisfied. "You have learned the key lesson. Healing begins from within. Illness can become a vehicle for your transformation. Now, take this wisdom with you and continue on your path." At the end of those intense days, Hiro addressed his last words to his devotees. "Always remember, dear disciples, that the ability to transform poison into medicine lies within you. Don't fear adversity, accept it as an opportunity for growth. Only through inner transformation can we discover true joy and realize the potential of our nature." But what is the moral of this story? And what does it teach us in the concreteness of our life and our days? That any unfavorable situation can be transformed into a positive situation, that by facing and overcoming painful events we grow as human beings. The key to everything is how we react to the inevitable sufferings of life. We can collapse, resigning ourselves to events, or we can react, fighting to overcome ourselves and leave the pain behind. Many people, due to painful personal events, have changed course, discovering a better life than the one they had before. Many others, after experiences of injustice and war, have been inspired to make a total commitment to peace and justice, changing the world for the better. The process of turning poison into medicine begins when you face a difficult experience and decide to see it as an opportunity rather than a curse. Therefore, suffering can become a springboard to a deeper experience of happiness. According to Buddhist teaching, every negative experience deeply contains this positive potential. However, if one is overcome by suffering or reacts to it in a negative and destructive way, the poison does not transform and remains poison. Remember that, according to Buddhism, suffering arises from karma, that is, from causes that we ourselves have created. Therefore, when faced with any difficult situation, do not give up and ask yourself, how can I turn this into an opportunity for growth?